Hey guys, it's John, and today we're gonna go deep on conditionals and loops in Java. I'll deeply make you understand this subject in Java, and let's not wait for more and let's go to the screen back. As you can see, I already opened our roadmap in the right of the screen, and you can see the conditionals and loops. I'm gonna mention these two subjects in the same video, in this video, and it's not gonna be so long, I believe. Then we are gonna go over the functions and also exception handling, and after that we are gonna go a really cool subjects, data structures, OOP interfaces and classes, blah blah. And after that, also in the playlist, we are gonna go solve some problems, maybe like 100 problems or something, and we are gonna make sure we understand the fundamentals of Java. But first, let's go over to the conditionals. So I already opened my Java class called conditionals, and I'll start from if else, and then I'll be showing you the switch case statements. So let's start from if else. So what is if else? If else means the reason that we are using the if else, and we are going to use more and more every day. So if else doing that. If something happens, do this. Else, otherwise, do that. And then let me show you. Let's say we passed the test and our score is 60. Then to be able to pass this exam, we should get more than 50 points in the score. So to be able to check this, we should write some if statements, right? If student score is greater than 50, you passed. Else, you couldn't pass. So this is how we use if else statement. But let's say if you get a score between 50 to 60 points, you gotta take one more test to be able to pass. We're gonna add in this between that two statements, else if. What is that doing? If the student score greater than 50, but also I'm gonna add and operator. These operators help us to use multiple conditions, to check multiple conditions in one if statement, okay? So student score is greater than, if the student score is greater than 50 points, and also the student score is less than 60 points, and let's put this here 55, you gotta take one more test. You can say you couldn't pass, but also you didn't pass, but you gotta take one more test. Let's see what's the result, what's the output for that, okay? Let me write here, let me just take that from here. We can't use the single quote also, I really forget this. Let me put this, and if I pass, I gotta make the output you passed, and also the else statement in the end, you couldn't pass, right? Perfect. Right now, I'm gonna try the first statement, okay? I'm gonna make this 61, and let's see what's happening. I should see the you passed output. Perfect. If I made 58 score, let's see what's happening. It's still the same because I forgot to put 60, okay? I confused about the score things, but let's say if your score is greater than 60 points, you passed. If your score between 50 points to 60 points, you gotta take one more test. And if your score is below 50 points, you couldn't pass. So I gotta see this, you gotta take one more test. And if I got like 48 points, let's see, you couldn't pass. That's how it works. We are gonna use every area in our software engineer career, okay? We gotta know and we gotta be able to use these if-else statements. But let's get to the other part, okay? Okay, if you understand what if-else is, let's go to the switch case statements, okay? So how can we use that switch case statements? So let's say we have a number, okay? This number is gonna be between 1 to 12, and it's gonna represent us month numbers, okay? So if we say, so if this number is 1, this is gonna be the January, right? If 2, it's gonna be February, and this thing is gonna go like this, and the last one, if it's 11, it's gonna be November or December, also 12. But I'm gonna show it as or. The reason we are writing this, the problem is, if I give you a number, you're gonna give me the month name. You can do it like with the if-else statements, but also you can use a different kind of if-else statement called switch case. So how do you use this switch case? Let's get the number from the user, and this will be let's start with 1, and we're gonna write switch case, okay? Switch case, how do you write your switch case statement? So you're gonna write here your condition, then you're gonna open your brackets. So if you wanna write like this, okay, that will be better case. So you're gonna write in the body part your case. Sorry, I just make the confusement. I just have the confusement. You're gonna write here the number, the month number, and you're gonna write your conditions here. So if that condition happens, do this, and if that condition happens, do this. That condition happens, do this. You know, like it's gonna take the month number, and I'm gonna check all the conditions. If something equals that condition, we're gonna do that. So if nothing equals that condition, we should add a default value. So this is how it works, okay? So I'm not gonna write every month here, and I'm just gonna put if the month number is equals to 1, we're gonna write here January, right? And then if it's equals to 2, we're gonna write here February. And if it's equals to 11, sorry, we're gonna write here November. And if it's not equals to any of these conditions above, we're gonna write here December. So right now, it's always 1. And that warning is coming out because of that. But if you take this number from user, you're never gonna know what is the number, right? I'm just gonna show you how it works, okay? Let me just go there. It's gonna write January, but we're gonna see every output is here. We forget something. It's break. If you don't add break, it's gonna check every statement after that. And I'm just gonna add break every one of them in the end. You can also use return false, but I prefer break. If needed, you can use return false. You can just return the statement falsely. Let me just try again. Right now we see the January. If I change this to 2, I'm gonna see February. If I change this to 11, I'm gonna see November. And if I change this to 12, of course, it's gonna show us December. So that's how the conditionals are working in Java. So right now I'm just gonna hide everything, the comment.everything here. Then I'm gonna go back to the loops. Okay, everything in conditionals working like this. Let's create another class called loops. Then let me create a static function here. The main function is gonna get a string arguments. Let me just write this. Let me just see if everything works. Hello. Then let's see. Yeah, it's cool. So we are gonna go over the loops. So there are three different loops in Java. The first one is for loop. Maybe you've seen it before in other languages. Every language has for loops. The second one is while loops. The while loops are like the for loops, and also one more, do while. So there are 3 loops. We're gonna go start from the for loops, okay? So for loops, what are they doing and how we're gonna write those? Let me just write here the condition. Okay, for loops are working like this. Let me show you. If you write for, IntelliJ IDEA is gonna give you some examples, okay? Write this. So if you write for E, you're gonna get whole statement and it's gonna show you how to use that. So there are 3 different statements here. The first one is the initializations. The second one is the condition. The last one is what we're gonna do every loop. Before we initialize that one, let me create a question for us to write, right? And this question is gonna write, somebody wants us to write every number between 1 to 5. So how do you do that? You can of course do that, writing the system out print line every single line like this, 1, 5. That's a cool solution, right? But of course we shouldn't do that. And by the way, this is 01. That's a really cool solution. But we should put a for loop if we are beginners. But we should use for loops or while loops, but we're gonna use for loop here. How are you gonna do that with for loop? Let me just write that. First, whenever loop turn, we're gonna write the number inside of it, okay? Then this number is right now is 0 and it is going to be until 5. This for loop is gonna work until the number that we initialize is going to be 5. And every time the loop turn, the number we initialize is gonna increase 1 time. You can write it E++, and also you can write E plus equals 1. I prefer plus. Let me see what's happening. As you can see, start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can also close the 0 line if you start from 1. That's cool. That's how it works. You can add if-else statements in it, and you can add, let's say, it's just out of context, but if E equals 3, let's write here. So what did I do? You can add everything in it, okay, in the for loop. If E equals 3, it's gonna write 3 and also I'm 3. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, I'm 3, 4, 5. That's really cool fact, right? So that's how the for loops are working. Let me just take this to the command line. It's cool. So we are gonna go over the while loop. So how while loops works? It's not actually so complicated, but I'm just gonna write it here, how it works. So while loops, take an argument like the number and work on that number, do this, and something happens in that while, change that number value, okay? So we can add here number plus plus. Every time while loop works, it's gonna change the number to number plus plus, okay? But right now the number is red. Let's write something here, or let's say it's 5, and it's gonna work until number is 5. So it's gonna be 0 when we initialize it, and it's gonna work until number is 5. But the bad thing is it's not gonna work like this. So we should take that from the user. So how are we gonna take that from the user? So we're gonna use the scanner class, okay? Scanner class help us to take input from users. Let me create a new object from scanner, and I'm gonna just put it system.in. So this object is gonna give us the user's input, okay? Let me just write it here. So we'll use it with in.next function. You can just check that function in the online, and that's how it is, you know. So let's see if it works. I'm just gonna write here 5. So it's now taking our input and it's gonna write 5. That's pretty cool. I'm gonna open that while code again, and right now we are gonna take the user's input right here, and now it's warning an error. So it says it's a string object, but you should give int. So to solve this, we can just change this to a string. You can check if it's correct. Also, the other option to solve that, you can create another object like int number from user. You can put that in dot next. Now it's still an error, but it says we can have a solution for you. Integer parse int. You can use that class to parse some strings to int, right? I'm just gonna put this here. I'm gonna use that like this, and we just see another object here. So it says number from user is not used in the loop. We are gonna add this here, and I'm gonna put a system out print line here. I'm just gonna write every number from user in the line in the console screen. So let's go back. Let's delete the unnecessary lines here. So let's see if it works. I'm gonna write 1, and it doesn't work, because we make a little confusion about here. Like we make some false statement here. We should write doesn't equals. We should write here if the number from the number from user is less than 5, we should do the condition until is greater than 5 or equals than 5. So that one is not working, okay? Yeah, right now it works. So I make some false statement here, but it's still okay. I'm just learning like with you guys. It's still okay. Everybody's gonna do some false statements. So that's how while loops working. It's like the for loops, but you know, if you don't know how many times it's gonna turn the loop, you gotta use while loop. If you know how many times it's gonna turn or work in the loop, you should use for. Let's see the do while, okay? While some statement here do this. How did that work? So what is the difference? Actually, I can use the same code here. If number from user less than 5, it's gonna work this, and I'm gonna add this in it. So what is the difference? I know you're asking that right now. What is the difference? So do while has an exception compared to while loop. How that works? Let's say the user gave us input called 1. 1 is gonna come here, and first is gonna do this. Then it's gonna check the while condition. If I say if number from user less than 1, it shouldn't work. It shouldn't get into the loop, right? That's how while works. But do while make that loop work only one time in the first. Then it's gonna check the condition. In the while loop, the normal while loop is checking the condition, then it's getting in. But the do while is gonna work only once, then check the condition. If I get the 1 word, as you can see, it works. But if I write 2 is gonna work, then the condition happens, it's getting out from the loop. That's how the do while loops are running in Java. So I hope you guys understand what I said and these things, because I just make some research and I'm gonna put it in the descriptions below. And I hope you like this kind of videos, because the next videos are going to be really perfect, because I'm going to start solving some questions from like algorithms. We are going to create algorithms, and it's going to be really cool. So the next video is going to be about like functions and maybe exception handling. I can put it in the same box. both of them. It's gonna be really cool. I'm really excited about this. We're gonna solve like hundreds of questions, maybe from lead code, maybe from HackerRank, anywhere in online, and I'm gonna share every question in with you. So in that case, you're gonna understand how everything works with the technical parts. So these questions, the questions that I'll solve, is not gonna be about only the coding parts. So we're gonna ask some questions like the multiple choice questions. Maybe you remember the video before. I was telling you the strings, and the string objects are immutable. They are not changing after they defined. And maybe we can ask this kind of question. Maybe we can create this kind of questions, and I'm gonna share every question I have with you guys. So make sure you subscribe on this channel and like this video. Just touch the bell button in that, and and then if I share some video, you can just take that video. I hope everything is good on your side, and see you again in the next video. Goodbye.